Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Yet, Jared ignored her and walked toward Ellen, asking, "What happened?" "Miss Joyper over here tried to team up with my cousin to chase me away so that she could become your partner for tonight," replied Ellen truthfully. Looping an arm around Ellen, Jared turned around, his sharp, cold gaze sweeping across the four people, and asked, "Who gave you the right to bully my girlfriend?" The four women's eyes widened at his words. Girlfriend? Ellen was actually Jared's girlfriend? She's not just a female companion? Wide-eyed, Selena didn't expect that they were already a couple. How did they progress so quickly? Ellen, who was also stunned, surmised that this was Jared helping her to raise her status. Yet, before she finished processing her thoughts, the man held her cheeks and forced his assertive yet moist lips against her red lips, kissing her. At that moment, Ellen felt as if an explosion went off in her mind. On the other hand, the four women were jealous and embarrassed, for they had to endure Jared kissing another woman right in front of them, showing his love publicly. "Tonight, except Ellen, none of you have the qualification to be my companion." Jared looked straight at Dorothy. Somehow, Dorothy's face was both pale and flushed, making it quite an interesting spectacle. She was so embarrassed she wanted to bury her head in the sand to hide from Jared's gaze. "Young Master Jared, this has nothing to do with us. It was her idea to chase Miss Rice away." One of Dorothy's friends quickly made Selena the scapegoat. "Exactly. She was the one who told us that Miss Rice is an assistant and that she was her cousin. It was her idea to make us chase her away." Selena blushed furiously, matching the color of her bright red dress, making her beautiful dress seem lackluster in comparison. Dorothy quickly added, "That's right. Jared, we didn't want to bully Miss Rice. We only fell into her trap." Jared fixed his gaze on Selena, who originally wanted to attract his attention. Although she had successfully done so, it was rage that was directed at her instead. "I'm overlooking this matter for the sake of your parents. Now, make yourself scarce." Upon hearing this, Selena bit her lips before glaring at Ellen. Not thick-skinned enough to continue staying in the venue, she left for the entrance dejectedly. Meanwhile, Ellen was still in a bit of a daze, as the kiss disconnected her from reality temporarily. Dorothy and the others felt ashamed to stay there any longer since Jared's gaze made them feel like they were trash that should be disposed of. Soon after Selena left, Dorothy and the others followed suit, unfortunately bumping into her after they went down. Selena was hailing a cab since she didn't drive to the event. Besides, leading to the hotel was a very long stretch of road, and she did not want to walk. "Hey! Our plans were ruined by you tonight." Dorothy vented her anger. The other two were the same because they had planned on having a good time throughout the night at the venue. Now, because of Selena's plans, they had no choice but to leave due to shame. Selena felt her heart crack. "I was only helping you guys. Why are you saying this?" Clenching her teeth, Dorothy hinted at her friends, who stepped forward and pressed down on both of Selena's shoulders. Being a hot-headed person, she slapped Selena without saying anything. "This is what you deserve because of tonight. You." Holding her cheek, Selena was angered to the point of her face turning red. "Look at that cheap dress. I wonder where she rented it from." "You're right. And she actually dared to mock others? We were being angelic when we didn't laugh at her." Dorothy's family really was wealthy, so she had the valet drive her Ferrari out and parked right in front of Selena. "You want to be my friend? You aren't qualified." Because Selena was afraid of Dorothy's money and influence, she did not insult them directly. Instead, she waited until Dorothy drove away. Before she swore, "Batch." Yet, Ellen was much stronger in this regard than her. Selena had a mental breakdown and screamed, nearly going crazy. Suddenly, she hated her parents for not being rich enough and not being able to provide her with more, which led her to be bullied by others like this. Inside the event hall, Ellen was brought upstairs by Jared into a lounge room. Her face was still a bit flushed under the lights, and she did not look at him directly. It was as if she did not dare to look into his eyes. Looking at the seemingly paralyzed woman sitting on the sofa, Jared had a naughty smile. "What? Are you afraid that I'll eat you?" He was holding a glass of red wine, exuding a bad boy look. Finally, Ellen looked at him in embarrassment. "Thanks for just now." "How are you planning to thank me?" the man teased. It was because she was acting like a scared bunny that was just inviting others to tease her. Pursing her red lips, Ellen blinked her eyes. "How do you want me to thank you?" The man suddenly looked at her lips. Even though it was just a quick kiss, he had already tasted the fruit-like sweetness from it, making him wonder what would happen if they kissed for longer. That was so unsatisfying. It was as if something was in his head, affecting his thoughts. "If anybody bullies you like that next time, don't hesitate to call me." "Not even for a second," Jared reminded. "No matter what I'm doing, I'll put down everything and come to your side." This warmed Ellen deep down, since this was just like her brother protecting her. She remembered that her brother once said something similar, stating to tell him if she ever got bullied and he would rush over at the first notice. "Thank you, President Presgrave." Ellen nodded. Thinking about what Jared said to Selena just now, Ellen asked, "President Presgrave, do you know my uncle's family?" "I don't. But, because they had helped me in the past, my family has always been thankful to them," Jared replied. But he did not talk about the heart transplant, as he did not want Ellen to know that he nearly died before. This was something that Jared was not too willing to tell others, since he thought that this would weaken his image in the public's eyes. Ellen nodded, thinking Connor must have taken advantage of this relationship to land her a job in Presgrave Group. And that was how she got the opportunity to meet Jared. It was then the music started playing downstairs. Thinking he hadn't been spending much time with Ellen tonight, Jared stood up and suggested, "Come on. Let's have a dance downstairs." At this, Ellen quickly waved her hands. "But I don't know how to dance." About the things that she was not adept at, she was afraid of embarrassing herself. "Well, I can teach you. It's easy." Jared reached out, insisting on dancing with her. Although she was nervous, she wanted to dance too, so she placed her hand in his, allowing him to take the lead. They reached the event hall only to see that the dance floor had been prepared, with around 10 people dancing. The lights had been dimmed down too. Walking to the edge of the dance floor, they noticed that a lot of couples had already begun to dance. Ellen gulped while observing their steps. "It seems easy enough. It's just that the man steps back while the woman steps forward, and vice versa. I think it's just to create a romantic atmosphere, since I don't see anybody really dancing seriously." Feeling her wrist being held by the man, she held onto the man's broad shoulder. The man then held her waist with both hands. "Follow my steps." Ellen was so nervous that she accidentally stepped on his foot, yet Jared only held the pain in and smiled patiently. "Slower." Panicking, Ellen stepped on his foot again. She rested her head on his chest out of embarrassment. "I don't want to do this anymore." Ellen gave up, announcing that she wanted to leave. "It's fine. Try again." The man encouraged her. With her head on his chest like that, she watched their footsteps and slowly tried to match his rhythm. Yet, she noticed the man's long legs and thought, "My word. Jared's legs are so straight and long." Finally, they synced up. As Ellen looked up, under the lights, she found that the man never took his eyes off her face. His passionate gaze was akin to the universe, capable of making one lose oneself staring into it. Although Ellen was not a romantic, at this moment, she felt all warm and fuzzy inside, a smile tugging at the corner of her lips. Suddenly, someone bumped into her from behind, making her hug Jared tightly. Ellen blushed furiously, but due to the dim lights, nobody saw it. Just as she wanted to put some distance between them, she noticed that a big palm was pressing on her back, not allowing her to leave. This made them seem even more ambiguous. Looking left and right, she was relieved that everyone was in the same position, which did not make them stand out. So, Ellen rested her face on Jared's chest, listening to his powerful heartbeat. His rhythmic heartbeat was like a hypnotization session, making her somewhat drowsy. Lowering his head, Jared saw the woman in his embrace blinking her eyes from time to time. It was incredibly attractive and sexy. Jared gulped, trying to control his emotions, as he seemed to be tortured by this dance. Meanwhile, Ellen was acting naturally since she did not have any other thoughts. It might be due to her being slow to pick up romantic advances, so even when they were this close, she was still able to think of other things. Yet, the man only thought about how to devour her later. After one dance, Jared could see that Ellen did not like this kind of event, so he brought her to eat dinner at an outside restaurant. Ellen, who really did not like such occasions, inwardly sighed in relief after they came out. The neon lights and bustling streets she saw through the car window soothed her greatly. Jared brought her to a restaurant. Since they were still wearing their outfits from the event, the waiters were shocked at their appearance, thinking whether they were a pair of eloped royals. After a joyful dinner, Jared found that although not much time seemed to have passed, it was already 9 in the evening, but he didn't feel like going home at all. "Do you want to go for a ride?" he suggested. Ellen shared the same thought. She had a great time tonight, for it was one of the happiest nights in her life, so she nodded. Sure. She was not afraid of where the man might bring her. Even if they were to go to the ends of the world, she would still follow him willingly. Due to the strong sense of security he gave her. Jared drove onto Seaview Highway, losing the 3 black SUVs that were tailing him in an instant. Those cars belonged to his bodyguards. With the performance of Jared's car, he soon left them eating his dust. "Quick, drive faster. The young master is gone." The bodyguards communicated with each other via walkie-talkies. "Understood. Drive as fast as you can. We need to ensure the young master's safety." So, putting the pedal to the metal, the bodyguards drove like bats out of hell. It seems like it isn't all roses to be young Master Jared's bodyguard. This employer sure knows how to make us worry. We have to be on guard all of the time. Once Jared shook off the bodyguards, he switched lanes and drove onto Seaside Lane, while Ellen smiled at the sea view. She had never seen the scenery of the sea at night before, hence never knew how beautiful the moon could be when she returned home from work every night, fatigued beyond belief. Jared was no stranger to this place. He had come here to fish with his father before and was pretty familiar with the road. There were rarely any visitors here, and besides, there was a large scenic deck there. He then parked his car by the roadside. "Let's get out. I'll bring you to a place where we can see the view," Jared said to Ellen. Unafraid, Ellen opened the door, before the night breeze blew on her hair. Tonight, she was like a beautiful princess that was having a secret date with a prince. Jared held her hand and walked to the scenic deck under the dim moonlight. At this hour, nobody was here, with the only hint of civilization being a light that was being emitted from a faraway lighthouse. Ellen hugged her arms due to the cold wind. Noticing this immediately, Jared quickly took his gray suit jacket off and put it on her. His warmth instantly enveloped Ellen along with a refreshing scent, making her blush before she looked up. Under the moonlight, her black hair, fair skin, bright eyes, petite nose, and luscious lips made her seem alluring yet a tad innocent. Meanwhile, Jared, under the moonlight, saw that the woman was so beautiful his heart started to beat faster. It was as if other than her, no other thoughts could enter his mind. Ellen was admiring the faraway scenery, not knowing that she was the man's scenery instead. Finally noticing the gaze on her, Ellen turned around with the wind still blowing on her face. It accentuated her innocent face. And within her bright, pure eyes, there seemed to be inexplicable traces of amorous feelings. Meeting his gaze, Ellen became embarrassed, realizing with hindsight the romantic atmosphere between them. Gulping, she did not know what to say. "Let's chat," Ellen said. "What do you want to talk about?" The man was interested. After giving it some thought, Ellen asked, "When's your birthday?" "November 1st, he answered. Chuckling, Ellen replied, "That's easy to remember. It's 3 months. "That's right." Smiling, Jared asked, "So, that means you've committed it to memory?" "It'll be a bit over 2 months until your birthday," stated Ellen. "Do you want to celebrate it with me?" Shocked, Ellen replied, "You should spend the day with your family. I can only celebrate my birthday this year by myself since my family isn't around. So, it'll be the same if I celebrate it with my friends," Jared hinted. With an elated expression, Ellen nodded. Sure. She really wanted to celebrate his birthday together. Suddenly, a strand of hair got stuck around her ear. She took a breath. It hurt her when she turned around, making her want to untangle it, yet Jared was already reaching out to her. His warm fingers touched her soft ears, tickling her and causing her to dodge them. Her face was beet red right now. Out of the blue, Jared held her face before his face closed in. Ellen fell into panic for a few seconds, but this panic quickly turned into expectation. Although she knew what Jared was going to do, who could resist such a man? "Close your eyes," Jared said with a hoarse voice. Doing as he asked, Ellen closed her eyes before the man's warm lips made contact with hers. It was just a light kiss, as Jared did not go overboard with it. Half opening her eyes, Ellen was greeted by the man's tall nose and his thick eyelashes. Jared is very attractive at this distance. Just like that, she looked at him, yet Jared opened his eyes, seeing that she was looking at him. Obviously, her mind is in another place. "I didn't think that she would be opening her eyes while we were kissing." This troubled the man, so he stopped being gentle and intensified the kiss just as he always wanted to. MMPH. Ellen felt his punishment, closing her eyes immediately and focusing on what was happening right at that moment. She could only feel the passion coming from the man, besides her body turning into jelly in his arms. Kissing under the moon, there was a special kind of romantic spectacle to it, with the man placing a hand on the back of Ellen's head while the other was holding her waist. Although her head barely reached Jared's chin at that moment, the man lowered himself for her. Not far away, the bodyguards showed up, having finally caught up to them. But they did not dare to take even one more step forward. Otherwise, they knew that their careers would end right there and then. They also finally understood why Jared shook them off. "Our young master is all grown up now," they sighed. In the end, the bodyguards retreated even further, to the point where they drove their vehicles a few miles out, fearing that they might disturb Jared. Ellen was in a daze from all the kissing as she lay in the man's arms, her heart beating wildly. Feelings of fear, love, nervousness, and excitement were all coursing through her because everything she had been through in her life up to that point was all shouldered by her alone. Even if she were to get wronged and hurt, she would still be alone. This made her hug the man in a fit of panic. Jared, who felt her tightening embrace, kissed her hair. "Did I scare you?" "No," Ellen replied quietly. It was then Jared noticed that her dress was rather short. With how big the waves were getting, he put his hand around her waist before saying, "I think we should head back now." Ellen nodded, and Jared led her back to the car. As they headed back to the city, Jared's bodyguards resumed following them. When they reached Ellen's house, it was already past midnight. Jared said deeply, "Rest up well." Nodding, Ellen walked into her residential district. When she turned around, she found that Jared still had not left yet, making her feel warm inside. Since it was the weekend tomorrow, it meant that she could sleep in. Tonight is one of the best nights of my life. Even though it was already midnight, in Olivia's home, Selena was having a hard time falling asleep, as her mind was filled with the incident that night. It was where Jared kissed Ellen and announced that she was his girlfriend. Although Selena had never liked any man to this point, Jared was the point that always drove her crazy. She really couldn't figure out how Ellen was better than her. In her eyes, Ellen would always remain a bottom feeder, a person forsaken by the heavens. Selena also heard Jared say that if not for her parents, he would have already taken measures against her. What do my parents have to do with the Presgraves? Frustrated, Selena was sleepless, so she went downstairs to get some water. Coincidentally, Olivia was also having some water in the living room, and she got shocked by her daughter's sudden appearance. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" Olivia asked. Sitting on the sofa with unkempt hair, Selena looked at her mother and suddenly questioned, Mom, are we related to the Presgraves? How in the world could we have that honor?" Olivia sighed. "Then tell me. Why is it that Dad managed to arrange a job for me at the Presgrave Group with just a phone call? Where does our money come from? You and Dad don't have proper jobs, but our household is never short on cash. What is happening?" Selena bombarded Olivia with questions. Olivia did not expect her daughter to be curious about all this suddenly. She took a seat on the sofa. "What is up with you?" "I'm going crazy because of that woman, Ellen. She was young Master Jared's companion tonight, and she caused me to be humiliated by others at the event. Even young Master Jared detests me now. He even said that if not for you and Dad, he would have taken action against me." Selena whined, stunned. Olivia exclaimed, "Say what? Ellen got on your nerves again?" She took advantage of the fact that young Master Jared was helping her and didn't even bat an eye at me throughout the event. In the end, she even asked him to chase me out. That hateful wench. Olivia stood on her daughter's side. "Mom, tell me now. Where do we get our money from?" Selena asked. Pondering about it, Olivia thought that her daughter was grown up now, so she could not really continue to hide this from her. Besides, if I tell her, she might learn to be more sensible. "You really want to know?" "Of course." Selena nodded fervently. "All right. This is a secret. Besides me and your father, nobody else knows about it. Now, I will tell you about it. But you must keep it a secret." "I will. Back then, we were very poor. Do you still remember Ellen's brother, Kev?" "Of course, I do. We even fought because he wanted to take my toy away. Didn't he die because of an illness?" Selena was peeved. When the doctor advised us to discontinue treatment, there was a boy in desperate need of a heart in the ER. As we were about to leave the hospital, we were suddenly summoned to discuss organ donation. Finally, we donated Kev's heart to the boy, and his family later donated 100 million to us, Olivia stated. Selena's eyes widened as she couldn't believe the family's money came from this source. Furthermore, it was Kevin, Ellen's brother, who obtained it for them. "Mom, the person in desperate need of a heart in the past was young Master Jared, right?" she said after taking a deep breath. "That's correct. As a result, the Presgrave family has always been grateful to us. They will assist us with anything, including your studies. Because of their assistance, you could study abroad and attend a prestigious university. Can we still ask for more money, Mom?" "Without a doubt. However, we have sufficient funds. We're not particularly wealthy, Mom. You have no idea how real billionaires live their lives. They can purchase a purse worth millions without batting an eyelid. That is something we can never imagine. Dorothy had humiliated Selina badly. As a result, Selina despised the fact that her family was not wealthy enough. We can't compete with those billionaires, but don't we have it all? Besides, Connor is not a glutton. We can't ask for more when we have enough, Olivia stated. She desired more, but Connor never requested it. Does Ellen know about this, Mom? We will never tell her. We'll take the secret with us to the grave. Otherwise, Ellen will cause us problems. The Presgraves will then learn the truth. We have no way of explaining this to the family. Selina was finally feeling much better. So, Ellen's brother is entirely responsible for our prosperity and wealth. On the other hand, Ellen reaped no benefits as Kevin's younger sister. I will keep it a secret from her, Mom, she assured her mother. Only the three of us will know the truth, and no one else should. Olivia kept warning Selina. Okay, I will never leak the secret. Selina promised, not wanting to lose her wealth as well. So, young Master Jared's heart came from Kevin. Is the young master aware of this, Mom? Certainly not. Young Master Jared was only 10 years old at the time. He appeared to have left the country after having his heart replaced. Furthermore, he had no contact with us. Selina reasoned that she couldn't tell Jared about it. He would spoil Ellen if he knew the truth. Mom, we have to figure something out. What if young Master Jared suddenly feels uneasy about his heart and goes to see a doctor about it? Then, he'll realize Kevin is Ellen's brother. It's not possible. Olivia became pale when she heard that. Can we turn Kevin into Dad's child and make him my brother, Mom? Simply inform everyone that I am Kevin's sister and Ellen is Kevin's cousin. Then, young Master Jared will repay me when he discovers that. Olivia was taken aback when she heard Selina's words. What are you on about, Lena? Selina had suffered severe humiliation earlier on, so at this point, she was having a lot of crazy ideas running through her head. She sat next to Olivia and took her arm before saying, Mom, I believe my plan is feasible. Allow Kevin to be Dad's illegitimate son and thus, my elder brother, because Kevin has died, young Master Jared cannot discover the truth. If the young master decides to investigate, Kevin's body is long gone and there is nothing left to perform a DNA paternity test on. Meanwhile, Olivia had never considered such a bold idea before. However, after hearing Selina's words, she felt it made sense. Let me consider it. I can't decide on my own. Your father must help you with this. It was late at night by the time Olivia finished speaking. Then, she told Selina, you should go to bed right now. I'm tired as well. When Selina went back to her room, she was still processing the truth. She couldn't help but recall her childhood. Then, she remembered the biting cold little house and her frostbitten hands. Everything changed when she was 8 years old. She transferred from a rundown school to a private aristocratic elementary school. Furthermore, she began to wear a beautiful and high-end school uniform. She then moved into her current home and sat in her father's new car. It continued from elementary school to college, and until she went abroad. Selina was a very ambitious individual. She felt that her life could not be still. Even though she inherited her father's money, she thought it was insufficient for her needs. She closed her eyes but couldn't fall asleep. In her mind, she was creating a beautiful dream. She fantasized about turning Kevin into her brother, causing Jared to look at her differently due to his gratitude for the donated heart. They then fell in love and began dating. The sweet dream was shattered the following day by the alarm clock. Selina madly turned off the alarm and covered her head with a quilt. It was the weekend. Ellen woke up early to take a cab to Lockwood Village, which was about to be demolished, to pack her priceless possessions. She packed many things, some of which belonged to Jessica and others to her as a child. Then, she took a photo album and flipped through the yellow pages to look at her brother. Her eyes welled up with tears right away. "How are you, Dad, and Mom doing in heaven, Kevin?" Tears streamed down Ellen's cheeks and her nose was clogged. "Don't worry about me. I'm doing well right now and will take good care of myself." She smiled with tears welling up in her eyes. Ellen took a cab home after packing up her belongings. She expected the village to be demolished in a few days, with a landmark to take its place in a few years. She was about to board a cab and leave when she saw Connor, her uncle. When she was about to call out to him, she noticed that he was holding the hand of a woman, and the woman was holding the hand of a boy who was holding a toy. As a result, Ellen decided not to call him. She also wanted to avoid him because she didn't want him to notice her. As she hid behind a bush, she saw Connor leave with the woman and child. She couldn't help but be surprised. She couldn't help but wonder who that woman was to Connor and if that boy was his child. She remembered Connor was holding the woman's hand so tenderly. It wasn't the kind of love one would show a relative. Ellen finally boarded the cab, her mind a jumbled mess. From what she remembered, Connor was obedient to his wife Olivia. Olivia was a bossy woman. She would go insane if she discovered Connor had a mistress and an illegitimate son. Ellen rested her chin on her hand as she thought things through, but she didn't understand much. Is it true that all honest-looking men cheat? Connor was a trustworthy man in her eyes. However, she had now learned of his affairs. It heightened her apprehension about marriage. While working in the cafe, she overheard her coworkers discussing their family's affairs, which made her realize that marrying an evil man would be a tragedy for a woman. It was preferable to remain single. Ellen didn't want to think about it too much. She hoped that Connor would take the secret with him to the grave. In the end, she returned home and began unpacking her belongings. After whipping up a plate of pasta for herself, she began studying a marketing planning book in the hopes of improving herself. While she was reading a book in the afternoon, her phone rang. Her heart rate increased as she picked up the phone and looked at the caller ID. It was a call from Jared. "Hello, President Presgrave." Ellen greeted. "Are you available tonight?" It was obvious that Jared wanted to spend time with her. "I'm free," she replied. Her social life was simple, so she was always available when she was resting. "The Super Car Club is holding an event today. I'd like for you to join us." "Huh? Me?" Ellen imagined it would be an event attended only by wealthy people, so she was afraid she wouldn't fit in. "I want you to go," Jared said in a low voice. Ellen couldn't come up with an excuse to decline his invitation, so all she could say was, "Okay." "Do I need to prepare anything?" "The Haute Couture Boutique will contact you. Tonight, you'll wear a lovely evening gown and be my date." Ellen nodded, thinking that she needed to return the evening gown once the event was over. "Okay. See you tonight," Jared said sweetly before hanging up the phone. Ellen couldn't help but be excited about it. At the Joyper residence, Dorothy's heart had been racing since she saw Jared at the dinner party that day. She had no idea he had returned and taken over his family's business. Despite her wealth, she desired the Presgrave Group, which was the world's most powerful corporation. Dorothy was overjoyed when she received the invitation list for the Super Car Club's event that day. Jared's name was on the list. "Oh, my goodness. I'm going to run into him again." She fisted her hands in excitement. She would never pass up an opportunity like this. Although she had offended Jared's companion at the party earlier, she had not given it much thought. She was convinced Jared just had a fling with Ellen because he was wealthy. It was impossible for him to fall in love with a commoner. Dorothy was popular with men, which was why she was confident she had the opportunity to make the billionaire fall in love with her. That day, Selena invited her friends to dinner. One of her friends mentioned that the Super Car Club had an event that night. She also learned that those who received the invitation were all wealthy city residents. It would be an honor to be invited to the event. But how do we get in? Selina asked as she rested her chin in her palm. She had lost confidence now that she knew where their money came from. Other wealthy families had large amounts of passive income, but her family did not and would be depleted entirely one day. For income, Connor only relied on some investments and regular savings. Meanwhile, Olivia did not work. Furthermore, the family's expenses were substantial. Selina had to rely on herself to achieve her materialistic ambitions. "Can you ask your friend to take us with him, Lulu?" However, Lulu shook her head. "There are only a few spots available. Not everyone can attend." "Pretty please? Your friend can surely find a solution for us," Selina pleaded. "Okay, I'll ask him. However, I make no guarantees that this will work." In the end, Lulu had no choice but to ask her friend. She had no idea her friend was a simp. When he heard that another two stunning ladies wanted to join the event, he immediately agreed. "He said yes," Lulu announced. Selina had a gleam in her eyes. "So, we can attend the event? What are we waiting for? Hurry up and choose a dress for tonight. Today is a great night to meet a wealthy man to marry." So, the three girls left the cafe and went to a nearby shopping mall to buy clothes. At 3:00 p.m., Ellen received a call from the haute couture boutique. Their car would meet her at the front door and drive her to the shop 20 minutes later. Ellen packed up the evening gown she borrowed the night before and went downstairs 20 minutes later. She wasn't as awkward in the boutique as she had been the day before. She found herself alone in the shop once more. Did Jared book the shop for another 2 hours? "President Presgrave told me that you have a party to attend tonight, so we prepared multiple short evening gowns that look great on you." Ellen trusted the manager's judgment, so she nodded and said, "All right." Upstairs in the fitting room, she tried on a blue tube-top evening gown, but it was too revealing for her. The manager recognized her as a conservative young lady right away and got a nude pink off-the-shoulder dress ready for Ellen to try on. It looked good on Ellen and suited her personality perfectly. She didn't have the usual look that was a result of plastic surgery. Her palm-sized face was round and a little chubby, but it fit her perfectly. Under the harsh light, one couldn't see the pores on her face, and it appeared as delicate as a peeled, boiled egg. She looked like an innocent young girl. The manager felt that Jared had good taste since there were very few girls this pretty yet well-behaved. "Miss Rice, what about this one?" "Wow." Ellen liked the evening gown as well and nodded. "All right. I'll wear this one." She went through yet another process of makeup and picking out her accessories. She merely wanted a simple chain around her neck as an accessory and nothing else. Meanwhile, her makeup was suited for the occasion. As for her hair, the hairstylist couldn't think of a prettier style than her wearing it loose since her hair was naturally straight and smooth. Running a hand through it already gave her a unique charm. Ellen waited for Jared at the boutique while sipping her tea and reading a book. It was a great evening. Meanwhile, in another boutique, Selina and her friends put on seductive low-cut gowns. They had already met with a rich heir, and tonight, she had forced her way into the gathering consisting only of extremely wealthy heirs. Dorothy was also one of the customers there, having dressed extravagantly in a black gown. However, the gown was designed to show off her assets the way she liked them since it exposed her back and waist, not to mention the low neckline. They left at 5:00 p.m. The venue was in a racing club in the country, where a private racetrack had been built especially for racing. It was also where the battle would mainly take place. Since it was a racing club, there had to be some exciting racing sessions. Jared's sports car arrived at 5:30 p.m. His vehicle was gray, which surprised Ellen since this had been the first time that she saw it. It was obvious that it was a limited edition car. He politely opened the passenger door for her and sped towards the street in the sunset as the attendants watched enviously. Several black four-wheel drives immediately followed him like a shadow. After stopping at a traffic light, Jared's eyes began to study Ellen. She did look pretty in everything. Her dark hair fell onto her shoulders, and it concealed her elegant neck slightly, which made him swallow. He stared at her side profile and nearly forgot that the light had turned green. The driver behind him only dared to press the horn after several seconds to alert him, and Jared stepped on the accelerator and rushed off. He was already 100 meters away by the time the car behind him started driving, which made the young man behind the wheel exclaim, "What racing car is that? It's so fast." Several four-wheel drives then followed him like galloping wild horses. The sight was shocking to the bystanders, who looked like they had seen a grand scene from a movie. Selena and her friends happily alighted the car in the parking lot of the racing club. As soon as she got off, she saw an extraordinarily handsome man not far away, and it made her heart stutter. The man was sitting on the front bonnet of his car and facing the sunset as he made a call. Goodness, who is he? She was immediately attracted to him. Lulu recognized him instantly and explained, "He's Lambert Ory, the eldest son of the Blue Ocean Group shipping empire." At that point, Selena thought to herself, "This man shall be my target for tonight." While he doesn't look wealthier than Jared, his looks and body are flawless. At that moment, a man approached Lambert as he tapped on his phone and asked him, "It's so lively inside. Why don't you come in?" "I didn't want to come." Lambert watched his screen as his slender fingers tapped away rapidly. "There are so many pretty girls here. Why don't you pick a few?" "I'm not interested. You can have any woman here and entertain yourself with as many of them as you want." The man lowered his voice as he already seemed excited. Lambert rolled his eyes at him. "Are they that fun to play with?" The man sounded confused when he asked, "Don't tell me you like men." Lambert snorted. "My time and effort are extremely valuable, and these women don't deserve me wasting it on them." His lips turned up as he murmured, "Unless I meet one who is worth my time and effort."
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.